I didn't realize how much I wanted to see Baba get smacked around not only by just a single character in this series, but three, to the point that he was shaking and crying and just basically crying for his mama after basically insulting these characters because they weren't born a man. I didn't know I wanted to see this man get smacked around as much as I did until this episode, but this was one satisfying episode, I have to say. I mean, I think we've been all, like, anticipating at some point in time Misaka was going to snap. I just wasn't expecting it in this episode. I thought maybe episode 8, episode 9, there'd come a point where enough is enough, I'm done with this bullshit. But when you see Kongo in a state such as that, and you realize that this wasn't her just being a troll, that she actually was trying to help you, and in your opinion, you caused her to get hurt. That's like the tipping point. You can erase my friend's memories, that's one thing, but when you actually harm them to this level, I'm gonna kick your ass. And this was such a satisfying episode. You can really tell Railgun is getting the ball rolling. The momentum is just increasing with every week, and it doesn't seem like the hype train is slowing down anytime soon. I mean, this episode was actually dominated by side characters who you would think would get like a 3-minute fight at best, but they actually pretty much had a fight this entire episode. Sure, water and things like that wasn't always like swimming around the air and doing some badass maneuvers, but this episode was basically one big action set piece with emotional writing backing every moment. And to have two level 3 espers be able to hold a battle together and actually succeed, not need Misaka or another to come in and save the day, but actually force the scumbag to retreat and then have Misaka do the railgun maneuvers to just tie it all together. That's how you do a satisfying episode, 100%. I really like the combination of these two's abilities. I think, in general, combinations of powers in Railgun, they typically work out quite well, and water abilities are some of my favorite when it comes to any, like, magical type of adventure that you can go in. And, like, I know this is the scientific route, but still you can, you know, control, like, the gravity or things like that. Like, that's basically a magical ability, just with another definition to it. But I always like water abilities because when you're on planet Earth and most of our planet is water, I think it's just one of the most insane powers that you could have if you are a human on Earth. And to see someone who can just, like, yeah, there's obviously limitations, it's not the same caliber as, like, a railgun or things like that, but still, to be able to just control water and then having the other combine her ability to basically not only just let, you know, someone like San get the hell out of there by, you know, letting her be a lot lighter than she originally was, as otherwise she would have tripped and fell and probably would have had a lot of unfortunate things happen had the dogs and things like that caught up. But it was just nice to see those combinations because, you know, you're literally fighting robots and your ability is water, and then you have another who's basically matching you so she can also help you in being able to move the water around and things like that, make it a lot lighter, maybe do some things in herself. And just in doing so, like, it's the perfect combination of powers to go up against someone who you would probably think would have the edge in this battle because he literally has an army of dogs that just will do his bidding for him. So it's nice to see that combination and how I really like how instead of this guy being like some super amazing fighter, he literally is a coward. He's someone who basically he's kind of like that isekai character who gets isekai'd into a world who blames society for like any shortcomings, that if someone looked down upon him, he'd get all grumpy, he would pout and just say society sucks. That's basically what like a lot of isekai protagonists are, where like he generally, like, he has skills, he can analyze things in the battlefield in the moment and pretty much get a good grasp on what their abilities are. He does have talents, but clearly he doesn't have the greatest self-esteem, and once someone looks down upon him, he does become a real bad person. He's a personality you don't want to interact with. So to see how, you know, he does have skills and he could do a lot good, but instead he just looks down upon others because he feels like he's better than people, and then when they seemingly are kicking his ass, he just kind of pushes into such a scumbag that you just love to hate him. And a show needs a good character that you love to hate, where the personality rubs you the wrong way, you want to see him get smacked around, but without him, the episode wouldn't be nearly as impactful. Like, these girls, the reason why it was so amazing to see how they're both struggling and overcoming this obstacle was because you had an opponent that just, the face rubbed you the wrong way. You just wanted to see him get annihilated, and that's why when he's basically drowning in a water bubble, I'm thinking to myself, I shouldn't be cheering this on, but on the other hand, I think he kind of deserves it, and I kind of felt guilty saying that while also kind of secretly cheering in the background. Which I have to say, I'm really happy that these girls weren't like completely clueless. I mean, obviously they're not to the same skill level as someone like Misaka or any of the level 4s or level 5s, but still, The fact that she carried a section of water through the drain so when she did run out, she would be able to do something that would basically make him drop his guard, and then basically the dogs would kill themselves for her. I think that was incredible. Also with the whole idea of how the other girl basically kind of like jumped, and kind of like the amount of weight she had, she was able to kind of like bounce off of the water to be able to catch the other dog and then just, you know, annihilate with a giant piece of rubble. I like the combination of powers, and even when they were separated, I still felt like they thought on their feet. They didn't feel like typical side characters where the ability is just all they are. They have this ability, they're not going to get fleshed out, they're not going to use it in that interesting of a way because they're not the main character. You see that a lot in a show with as many characters such as Railgun, but I'm really happy to see with this season, they're actually giving everyone the time to shine if they are going to be on the big screen. The fact that they were holding this episode together, and as much as myself and pretty much any Railgun fan is going to hype up the Misaka moment towards the end, she wasn't the star of the show. She just had a crazy moment, and that was an amazing moment and is setting in motion to have even more just insanity pop up in the future. It was, honestly, these girls' episode, and the fact that we were able to see something so badass, but also it logically made sense, there was a struggle, there was conflict, it kind of went back and forth on who had the edge, and to see how it all wrapped up towards the end, I mean, as much as probably a lot of people were wishing Misaka would rip down the door and really smack some more sense into him, I think she made the right call because, as far as she knows, this character may not be in his own right, really. He may be brainwashed. She doesn't know, she probably doesn't really care, but she's trying to be the better person, saying, hey, you ever do this shit again, I will find you, and I'm going to crush you, which was like the perfect way to wrap it up, because this character gives you a lot of conflicting emotions, and to see him put into his place by not one, but 3 of the characters, it was like, that was amazing. I really like that, because I was totally expecting that maybe the first third of this episode would be them fighting, they'd use their water abilities, things like that, and then we'd have like Misaka or another one of the characters, someone from Judgment or something, just like come in and basically, you know, wipe the floor, push him back, and then that would be that. But I like how they were actually able to be written in such a way that they felt like a main character in this episode. I'm so used to seeing characters like these who just, they have an ability that you look at, and you yourself can write so many situations where they would be a badass, they'd be able to hold a scene together, the personality that they're designed as is good enough for a scene, but because they're not a part of the core cast, they just get swept to the side in favor of the people who've already been established in this world, past just, you know, their name and you know their ability. But the fact that this season is actually giving the time to flesh out everyone, it's actually a really nice feeling, I have to say. I'm not expecting the cast as a whole to be as fleshed out as Misaka's arc or something like that, no. But it is nice to say, holy shit, you know, they're not just like bringing in a character just so they can interact with another character and then we're going to forget about them. If we are going to incorporate them into a very intense situation, they can actually hold their own, and that's a nice feeling. I really hope that's like a trend for this season of Railgun, which so far, I have no doubts is going to be the trend because it does feel like characters we typically don't see or we only know the basics of are either becoming a main antagonist this season or being incorporated to the main plot and actually are doing some pretty incredible things. It's super easy to look at a show like Railgun and think you know exactly where it wants to go because the formula has proven to be successful, and it really doesn't need to evolve to keep the fanbase pretty happy for quite a few seasons. But it's nice to see that the formula is being spiced up, it's being changed, characters are reacting in ways that I can't predict, and the things that I'm trying to predict aren't going exactly to the direction that I was anticipating. And that makes every single episode of this anime just feel so memorable and, you know, is actually surprised me, is actually blowing me away. And with each week, it feels like it's getting slightly better. I mean, last week was great, and I was like, yeah, this episode seems really interesting based on the preview, but it was even better than what I thought the preview was showcasing, which says a hell of a lot, because often a preview is like the best little parts, the best Sakuga moments, and then you're just like, okay, yeah, that's what I saw in the preview, just slightly extended, but here, this didn't really feel like the preview. It felt like 3 times better, if I'm being 100% honest, and I'm really excited to see pissed off Misaka. I mean, on one hand, I don't want to see her, like, lose her cool to the point that she does something that she's clearly going to regret, but at the same time, she's been pushed to such an extreme that I kind of think we gotta see her just go completely nuclear missile or something for at least an episode or something. Like, I mean, that moment where she basically says, move it, and those characters are just dumbfounded, like, she's actually being serious. We're actually gonna get killed if we don't move. And just that standstill, the standoff, like, that was some of the most badass things we've seen. Even more badass than her just annihilating that mantis bot. Like, that was just so intense, and you were like, that's not the Misaka I recognize, but we're gonna let her do her thing because she is terrifying right now. But even though the episode was badass and also frightening and also just, like, that we couldn't really predict it, it was nice to see the Shirai situation where, like, even though her memories have been altered, she still is getting, like, that connection to Misaka without even, like, realizing it. It just goes to show how much she cares for her, and that no matter what happens to her memory, she's always going to get latched onto this girl called Railgun, even if she tries to push back against it. And Ueharu being a troll towards that entire situation was so great. I just love that. It's just something that it's like a core theme with their relationship, and I'm glad that even if, you know, memories are erased or altered, no matter what, she's gonna find a way to get hot and bothered by Misaka and just be like, you know what, that's my girl right there. No matter what's gonna happen, that's my girl. Even if I'm trying to say I don't care about Railgun, she secretly is always going to care about Railgun. This was a great episode, though. Definitely the best of the season, and I keep saying that. It just feels like it's getting slightly better with each week, and the fact that this was my favorite episode of the season and Misaka wasn't even the dominating force, it says a hell of a lot about the writing this season, and I hope it's going to be a trend going forward like it currently has. What did everyone think, though? Let me know. For source material readers, anime originals like myself, what was your favorite moment? Whatever you're feeling, do let me know. Remember to leave a like if you did enjoy, and be sure to subscribe if you have been new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.